Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Into the Flu. In today's episode, we're going to talk about beta cards, but specifically building a deck with beta cards. Now, for those of you that saw the proxy video that I posted before this one, you'll know these are all fake. These are absolutely fake beta cards, nothing special about them. And I want to emphasize that because I think it's really important, especially for beta cards. For me, this is the first time I've done something like this. I don't know if this is going to prompt anyone else to do it. If you do, please don't print the back on them. It's very obvious that these are fake, but that's just because I made sure of that. Not everybody will do that. And if you are one of those people who's not going to do that, then it doesn't matter what I say, because I can't control you. So you're going to do it anyway. Because I know that there were some people who have printed some cards to look very real. I don't love that because let's say that, let's say that I lose this deck, right? And somebody gets a hold of it. There's no way that they're going to be able to pull this card out of one of these sleeves and say, oh, this is a real beta card. But if you go out of your way to make it look real and to print the back the way that Wizards of the Coast had it, that might be a little bit nefarious, and I don't want to be, like I said, if you already have that in your thought and that's the kind of person you are, there's nothing that I'm going to do that's going to make you, it's going to motivate you to do something like that. That's just kind of who you are. So I'm not going to take responsibility for that. However, I will just say that if you want to make, beta cards, if you want to look at that proxy video, you'll see some proxies that I have in my decks that I use regularly when I play. They're absolutely fake cards. You can totally tell that they're fake, but proxies are used to substitute for the real card, especially in gameplay. I don't know of anybody who has proxies just for their collection. Doesn't mean that they don't. I just personally don't know of that or the use of it, but like some people, like myself, I can't just go and buy a bunch of Dobby's Disappearance, that kind of budget to go spending hundreds of dollars on just one card for 3 or 4 different decks. And so I've printed Dobby's Disappearance in this fashion. And so, it's just, it's one of those things where proxy cards definitely have their function. And I think it makes it fun. So enough of that. What we're going to do today is build a deck with these beta cards. And my goal is to play a game with this deck. And we're going to kind of do the best that we can with the limited cards that we have here. So the reason that I have only these cards, and for those of you that know of the beta cards, there were a total of 80 of them. And that doesn't mean 80 different, spells and creatures, etc. It was 80 total, and a lot of the majority of them were lessons. And then let's say this Little Blast, for example, took up like 4 spaces of that 80. And there was a card called Zap that took up 5 spaces of that 80. So there was definitely still limited cards. And on top of that, these are even more limited because these were images that were shared with me of the full collection, but they were taken pretty poorly. It was not a very good, not a good quality. And so that's why the only cards that I chose were ones that had decent quality, so that once I made them into the size of the card, or roughly the size of the card, some of these are cut pretty crappy, then, I would be able to at least read what they say. Like this one says, all your creatures do damage to your opponent 1 extra time, right? So like my opponent could read that as well. And these are Harry Potter trading cards. These were the very first prototype for the Harry Potter trading card game. And so what I'm going to do is build a 61 card deck, and we're going to sleeve them together, and we're going to use these lessons as the backs. And so, so let's just see what we've got here, right? So we've got some creatures. We've got the centaur, and we've got the rat and the wolf. So the creature, this one does 1 damage. That's the centaur there. The rat does 1 damage, and the wolf does 1 damage, and that's 4, 3, and 5. And then we've got no transfiguration cards, so I'm not even going to use those. But then we've got Animal Heroism, which is a spell, and it says all your creatures do, again, one All your creatures do damage to your opponent 1 extra time. Big Blast costs 12, which is bonkers to me. Do 6 damage to your opponent or to a creature of your choice. And then we have Forgetfulness Charm that does, it's a spell and it says, look at your opponent's hand, choose 1 card and discard it. So this is by no means going to be a good deck at all. It's just super fun, to be able to kind of play a deck that was that uses the same cards as Wizards of the Coast did when first coming out with these cards. What I do know a little bit about the betas is, again, there were 80 cards. I think there were 3 or 4 sets of those 80. And they were introduced at the New York Toy Fair in the late 90s. I want to say 98, 99. That was when Wizards of the Coast was like, hey, we want to create a Harry Potter trading card game. These are the prototypes. This is what they look like. And they introduced it at the Toy Fair, which is pretty cool. And so when they introduced it, it was these cards that they introduced to all of the people who went to that Toy Fair, and they were able to see, what it would look like. Obviously, it's changed so much. I mean, even just in the lessons alone, but you can tell, obviously there's still some inspiration there that look the same. So again, this isn't going to be the best deck by any means, but it's going to be pretty cool nonetheless. So let's just count a few of these out and see what we've got. For Little Blast, we can have 4 cards from total, right, for each, unless it says specifically. I do want to use Big Blast, even though it's pretty pricey. So we've got 4 of those. Animal Heroism. So we've got 4 of those. I'll use this 1, 2, 3, and 4, just because they're a little bit more legible. I don't know if I'm going to use those just yet, but we are going to use the creatures. So we've got 4 wolf, 4 rat, and 4 centaur. So let's see. Okay, so we've got 24 cards here. Now, which witch or wizard will we use? Now, what's kind of interesting is these both say wizard, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I think what I want to do is use Hermione. So Hermione says, and it's actually, I thought, and you'll probably see this in the other video if you do end up watching that proxy video, I thought this read, it was going to read like the Hermione card that we know of from the game, which allows you to put more lessons into play with fewer actions. But it's not. It's different. It says, when you use 2 actions in a row to play lessons, you may play a 3rd lesson without using an action. I thought that was kind of cool. So I have 2 of those. No real reason as to why. But I think I might add a Draco just for the fun of it into the deck itself. And then this is going to be my starting character. And then I think what I might do is, let's say about 10 or so lessons. Let's just count those out a piece. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's 20 plus, so that 44, 45. Okay, so we might have to have a little bit more lessons if I want to include these. So that would be 49. I mean, why not? Let's see. 50, 4, 55, and then 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. Okay, let me see if I did that correctly. If that's the case, there's going to be a lot of lessons and not too many anything else. However, it doesn't really matter. It actually might just kind of work out to be okay because we've got that super expensive blast card. So we've got 1. Cool. So my math was correcto mundo. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sleeve these cards up. And then I'm going to do, so for those of you that aren't following the Rennervate podcast, please do so if you'd like. It's a this is our 2nd season now. A couple years ago, Doug, Emilio, and I started the podcast. It's 100% dedicated to the Harry Potter trading card game, the only podcast out there of its kind. If you love the Harry Potter trading card game and you're interested as a player or a collector, you'll absolutely love what we've got going. every episode talks about the Harry Potter TCG, and it's just really fun time. So what Doug and I have done for season 2 is we have now included gameplay. So what we do is we meet up and we have these games, and we record them, and then we post them on our YouTube channel, Rennervate. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play this deck against Doug, and we'll kind of see how it fares, which it won't do well really at all. I guess I can start putting these in here. It won't really do well, I'm sure, because again, this is very limited. It's one of those things, you know, where it's just, this is really just kind of for the nostalgia, or for the, I don't even know what, you know, I always just loved the idea of having a deck that's made with the beta cards. I just think it's super funny, just super cool. You know, it's like a little piece of history, and not too many people, I haven't seen anybody who's played with the beta cards for obvious reasons. And you know, I think I'm pretty sure, at least I hope all of you out there know that I'm not gonna print these cards for any kind of crazy reason other than just for this fun experimental little deck here. But like I said, I mean, either way, nobody could ever think that these are real. You know, the beta cards look pretty cool. You know, they look like this, but even, you know, even the actual real ones, you know, they look pretty neat, but you can tell that they're worn and that they were used for their own, like, you know, used as like playing prototype cards, you know. So it's one of those things where the majority of them have a bunch of wear around the border, and it's just, you know, one of those things. There's just no way that they would look this, you know, like this new anyway. But yeah, so for those of you who are interested in seeing how a old school deck made up of 100% beta cards will play, then tune in to those games. Just keep an eye out in the next few weeks for some games between Doug and I. And if any of you are interested in playing games, then please join the Discord. And the link, as always, is in the description, where you can find myself and some other players who play the Harry Potter TCG, you know, regularly. As there's no pressure. You know, it's not like it's a super competitive place. You are allowed proxies, obviously, if that's something that you want to do. If, you know, you can't, you know, you don't want to spend the hundreds of dollars on the Dobby's cards and the Arthur Weasleys and all that kind of stuff, then you're more than welcome to print them out and do kind of like what I'm doing, where I always put just an extra card that I have a few of, like Lessons, or some of these Quidditch cards. You know, I've got a handful of those. And you can just always put it in a sleeve like this, and then when you stick your actual proxy card right in front of it, it feels the exact same as it would, and it plays the same way as it would like a regular card if it was just the lesson alone. I've never been able to feel a difference, and everybody who I know that does something like this, they don't feel a difference either. And, you know, it's perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm going to sleeve these all up, and then we're going to see how it looks in one deck. All right, here we are. So we've got them all sleeved up. These sleeves are actually one of those like slippery sleeves that I'm not the biggest fan of, but there were some spare ones that I had after switching up a deck of mine. So, all right. So there we have it. We've got it all sleeved up, and I can't play now because I don't have an opponent, but Like I said, tune in to Rennervate, the podcast. We'll probably chat about this deck and kind of the whole process as well. And then we'll get some games in where you'll be able to see some of these prototype beta cards in action. And, how fun is that? So, I probably will, if I can find a better image of some of the other beta cards, then I might be able to make another deck. And if that's the case, then I'll bring you all along the ride with me. You can only start with Hermione or Draco. So, I might end up doing, Draco as a starting character for the other one. They're not the best starting characters, but again, we're really limited. There was only those 80 cards. And then even then, I want to say there was a total of, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 creatures and maybe like 10 or 12 spells. I'm just guessing here. I really don't know, but just so that you all know how limited they were. And so even of that, right, like I even have a smaller pool because I only found these few cards that were in my deck or in my possession. And so anyway, yeah, I hope you had a fun time. This is, just a little passion project, just kind of something that I've always wanted to do. I think it's really fun and unique, and I'm really excited to see how it plays. And do you want to see what the first hand would be? This is, let me shuffle it a couple more times. These, believe it or not, this is actually, this seems like a really big deck, and this is sort of how it was when I had my regular cards in here. These aren't my favorite sleeves. They're kind of thick on their own. The card stock is a little bit big too, don't get me wrong, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We've got Hermione as a starting character. We'll cut it there. And let's see. We're going to draw 4, 5, 6, 7. This is our starting hand here. So, shit ton of lessons as we knew. And then the wolf. But you know what? Not bad, actually. Once we get some of our lessons into play. All right, so we'll draw to start. We can do 1 and 2. Our opponent will go. Yeah, I thought I drew an extra one. Our opponent will go. I'll draw again. We can go. So, you know what? I didn't use her starting ability. When you use 2 actions in a row to play lessons, you may play a third. So I didn't use that, but let's do it now. So first action and second action in a row, I can play a third. So I'll do that, which is actually pretty cool. Pretty cool ability, right? I mean, I think we would totally, I would choose to play with Hermione like that. My opponent goes, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll draw again. Now I have 5, so I'll be able to just start doing my thing. So here we've got a wolf and a centaur that I'll put into play, and that's a total of 3 damage each turn. So, it might not be that bad, actually. This is cool. I love how this looks. This is super, super dope. I'm digging this. Well, anyway, I think what I might do is try to find some transfiguration cards so I could use these. I'll have Draco as a starting character, and then maybe I'll add Hermione in the deck itself. I wasn't able to do that this time because I added an extra spell or a lesson or something. But anyway, doesn't matter. I'll still experiment with it. Let me know what you all think about the beta cards in play. Is this something that you're interested in? If so, I can try to build a transfiguration and you can stop by and watch. And if not, I'll build it anyway and you can skip that one. But anyway, I hope you all have fun. As always, be safe. Thank you very much for spending time with me today. I appreciate you all very much, and we'll catch you next time.